Hello and welcome to the Communities Connected podcast. I'm April Lamont. I'm the host and the CEO of Allisant. Today, Danette Beal is joining me as a co-host. Danette leads our marketing initiatives here at Allisant, and very recently, we were at a conference where we met Ryan Rosen, and like to welcome Ryan as our guest today. Hey, Ryan.
Good morning, April. Good morning, Danette. Such a pleasure to be here with y'all.
Terrific. You know what I thought we'd do is just jump right into it, Ryan. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and about Friendly Futures?
My name is Ryan Rosen. I'm the founder and creative director of Friendly Futures Design Studio. Our mission is to design a friendlier world, and we've developed a community building and wellness tool called Neighborhood Games, and that's how we're doing so right now.
That's terrific. I know when we prepared for this call today, you shared some of the relationship between play and wellness. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Play is my jam, and I think it should be for everyone as well. So growing up, play has always been foundational to my life, and it's always been intergenerational. So I always was exposed from a young age of playing with my dad, my grandma, my grandparents, my dad's friends, my cousins, my parents' friends, etc. So I was lucky enough to experience the benefits of play from a young age. And as I got older, I was learning more about how we can encourage more wellness and thinking about physical health and mental health. I saw the benefits of play so clearly, but nowhere was it more poignant than in our social health and for building relationships. So for forever, I have been obsessed with using play as a tool to improve our relationships across all generations.
That's great. We'll get into this in a minute, but you were sharing with me that, you are a trained architect. And so, part of your path has been around designing spaces. But what's interesting is the finding that the space itself isn't enough. Okay, let's talk about that.
For a little bit of background on Neighborhood Games, is our goal was to set out to design friendliness and how could we materialize friendliness in the public realm. And we thought, let's design the space. Let's make our spaces super friendly. Let's build off the exciting work that other designers are doing in transforming otherwise maybe uninspiring environments and giving them a playful touch, a playful spurt of energy and activation. And we spent about 3 years at our studio designing very playful places for all ages. But what we learned is kids have really strong play muscles. They're pretty good to go. Even the ones that are spending, Lord knows, too much time on their phone. If they're young enough, like they're good, and then they get older, it gets progressively maybe a little worse. But adults, for sure, their play muscles are not super well exercised, most of us. So what we found is that when designing playful spaces, it was insufficient to meet our goal of creating a friendlier environment, of encouraging more interaction and conversation in the public realm, both between strangers and amongst friends and family. And that's when we decided to start adding to our spatial design, narrative design and game design, rules, programming. And that's really what unlocked our kind of strategy of getting more friendly environments, was complementing spatial structures and having that kind of setup in our built environment for interaction with also rules of engagement and branding and fun narratives and storytelling to really kind of weave the three together to get the friendly results we were looking for.
So Ryan, how did you land on the idea of Friendly Games? Like, what was the motivation of creating the company?
So I'll give you the quick spiel in the background. So like I said, growing up, born and raised in a very playful household, and intergenerational play was my jam. I played tennis in college. I hurt my shoulder, and my best friend from childhood, Ethan, suggested that we do photography. I thought he was kind of being silly because we played sports. I used to outsource my, art homework to my neighbor, Lindsay, and I would do her math homework. But he's like, no, photography is going to be super cool. So I said, all right, I'll meet you halfway. Let's start documenting sports courts and community spaces and places where people played. And then we can also go play. It'll be super cool. So I worked in photography and travel photography for a couple of years, going around the world and documenting unique spaces where people played. I was living in India after undergrad, and I had the opportunity to, along with documenting a lot of cricket courts, most of my stuff was basketball. I love to play basketball. I love all games, really. But along with documenting some cricket courts, I got to design a couple of basketball courts at the community center where I was working in India. And I realized that in my kind of journey of creating kind and friendly spaces, I learned a lot documenting. Now I wanted to extract that info and start designing them. So I came home to San Diego, California, where I was born and raised and still proudly represent. And I got a master's of architecture, and the whole time was singularly focused on designing for friendliness. And play became increasingly important. So my thesis was titled The Seriousness of Play. And I kept thinking about how designing for play could unlock more social potential and more friendliness. So I worked in the field for a little bit and then started Friendly Futures with Ethan, my childhood best friend that got me into photography, as well as Yoshi, who is a practicing pediatrician and my childhood neighbor. And the three of us, had a very interdisciplinary background, but a ton of experience playing together and playing across generations. So we came up with our mission, designing a friendlier world, knew we wanted to do that through play. We're creating games. And then in this kind of 3-year period of where we designed a bunch of mobile, playful areas, the Caterpillar Olympics, brought them all around San Diego. We were at, art institutions to office and parking lots. So really ran the gamut of spaces where we could be. And we learned the potential of space, game, and narrative. So that's how we landed on the neighborhood game concept. And then, consolidated it and packaged it into an amenity that master plan community developers saw as valuable for them. And that's been the way that we've been able to develop and launch this concept and bring more friendliness to more neighborhoods around the US and elsewhere.
Danette, I was just thinking about I think you had a recent post about a community that has a friendliness agenda can you chat a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's, the Silverwood, I believe, is in, Arizona? Is I think where that's at, but they have an initiative where you actually have to sign a document that says that you believe in friendliness and you will be kind and friendly within their community. So it's, as we're talking about connecting communities and really the shift over to, people wanting to live around people that they enjoy, I think it's going to become a bigger concept to create
Mhm.
these friendlier communities around the United States.
That's inspiring to me. And you know what? It makes sense. I look at the Harvard study of adult development, the most
Mhm.
thorough and exhaustive study that's, been done on what makes humans thrive. And their conclusion was the most significant factor to a happy and healthy life was our relationships. And I'm inspired, energized, and motivated by how much more I see people interested in community and wellness and social health. And, 10 years ago, it didn't feel like these topics were very prominent. And now, and maybe that's the world I live in, it seems like it is really at the front of people's minds for a variety of reasons and understanding the value of these spaces across different value metrics. So when I hear of places that have a what was it, a friendliness pledge?
Mhm.
Yeah,
I think
or a
so.
kindness pledge. But yeah,
Kindness,
same
yeah,
concept.
the kindness pledge. This is a mission that's super personal for me, so it makes me smile. I love to hear it.
How important do you think the intergenerational component is?
Fundamental.
Okay, let's talk more about
Fundamental.
that.
Let me talk some smack about my grandma, okay? Yeah, please. I've held my tongue for too long on
I
this pod.
thought so.
I've held my tongue for too long. Nanny, if you're listening, don't think I'm going to go super PG. I'm coming for you. So I think that intergenerational play, or let's take it a step back. I think that more connectivity amongst generations is just necessary for our society, both for our collective well-being and our individual well-being. If you're and one of our elders, the youth can kind of help inspire and bring some joy and life to you. And if you're young or you have maybe young kids, elders can help with caregiving and child rearing, all the good stuff, right? So, and there's so many studies that have been done that demonstrate the utility of different generations living together. And I mean, I think of like Terry's work, right? And seeing
Yeah.
um, just the trends in general consumer preferences as well, because it's just so clear at this point that living closer to multiple generations is beneficial for everyone. So how do you then live well amongst generations? I think part of the reason that in the past we have been more inclined to maybe separate a little bit is because different generations have different preferences and different ways that they like to engage. And that's where I think play is the magic ingredient, because it offers a shared sort of activity for different people to do together. But then, and this is really where we started to put our friendly futures or friendly futurizing things, was not all play is conducive for intergenerational gathering. So I love basketball. I've already mentioned that.
No
And
dodgeball with
I,
grandma, huh?
yeah, well, look, I know I could smack my grandma in basketball. Come on, I'd back her down in the post. I'd feel really good about myself. No, it's not. If that's not a conducive environment, basketball is good for me and my other buddies in our 30s to go play together and pretend that we're in the NBA. But we need other games that are more conducive across generations that can bring that same sense of shared joy and opportunity for different ages to connect. Because sometimes it's hard to do that out of thin air. So I think the utility of different generations gathering is clear, and play improves the opportunity for ways that they can spend time together and create more fun, more joy, and more wellness potential amongst the various generations.
So tell us about some of your projects. How are you actually applying this into communities that our audience might be familiar with?
So there's three pillars of neighborhood games: rooted in place, for all ages to play, and designed for belonging and connectivity. So neighborhood games, we don't have a catalog where they're just being sprinkled kind of wherever. They're branding and storytelling tools that extract what makes a place unique and tells it through the lens of a game. So Indigo is a master plan community
Yep.
outside of Houston. For them, we're designing Indigolf. So the brand says it all. And then we're designing the Painted Tree games at Painted Tree, a master plan community outside of Dallas. I'll use those as our two case studies today.
Perfect.
So they're rooted in place. Two, they're for all ages to play. I need to compete with my grandma, and I think everyone else should as well. And we do design tweaks. And, think about golf, right? Golf has easy tees, medium tees, and more challenging tees. So different abilities can play together at the same time. At Painted Tree, we're designing a hybrid cricket baseball mashup because the demographics there's a lot of Indian immigrants as well as native Texans. So we wanted to create a game that was inspired by it. And we reversed the kind of tees from golf into different home run boundaries. So my grandma, she can hit it to the first home run boundary, but Dr. Yoshi, who's been crushing all of our testing of these games, and I keep losing to him in them, he has to hit it to the furthest boundary. He doesn't get any sort of help with that one. He has to go to the furthest. So that's how we make games intergenerational, or one example. And most importantly is they're designed for connection and belonging. So we tweak the space, we tweak the games, and we tweak the storytelling and narrative to invite people, to encourage, like actively encourage conversation among strangers. Some people think of it as social engineering, and I actually like that term. I think we're engineering no matter what. So if everyone's on their iPhones not looking at each other, that's being engineered. We're responding to that from a different way of thinking. Wouldn't it be nicer if neighbors said hello to each other and it wasn't awkward or took someone that was particularly gregarious to do so, but could just be designed into the everyday fabric of a place? So with Indigolf, for example, one of the holes is based in a fitness park, and you putt underneath where someone might be doing a pull-up. And the scoring rewards you talking to that person, because if someone is doing a pull-up and you invite them to take a guest shot for you, your scoring is rewarded for that activity. That takes what might be a daunting thing for a lot of people of talking to a stranger into you have a clear reason to do so because the neighborhood's encouraging that activity. So those three pillars, rooted in place for all ages to play and designing for connection and belonging, anchor a neighborhood game. And places like Indigo, and we're designing Indigolf, or Painted Tree and the Painted Tree games are ways that we're bringing that to our wonderful clients that are interested in having a little bit more friendliness in their neighborhoods.
Let's elaborate on this, really rooted in place.
Yeah.
What can you give us a peek into your process? How do you go around discovering what the place wants, if for lack of a better word?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think there's either a top down or bottom up approach. So when we're working with communities, it might be like we're going to do some co-creation with residents that are there, host various workshops and kind of uh, crowdsource ways of understanding what people want and what's the right note to hit to maximize the potential. We also can go top down where we're working with developer clients that have a good pulse on their community and are actively shaping what is the brand and storytelling and can work with what they and their team have created and help elevate and give more utility to it with the game. So we try and think of things of, okay, your typical things of what's the landscape, what's the climate, what's the demographics, like, okay, so kind of your standard stuff that good design would be considering regardless
Yeah,
of
you're
whether
right.
it's a house or whatever else they might be thinking of. And then we also like to get silly and have fun and work with our clients and, use these co-creation tools of think about games that you played as a kid. And what did you really enjoy doing? And how did that inspire you to have better relationships with your friends? And how are you maybe not doing that right now? Or what are you missing? What would you like that you think would be a really nice way for you to be more socially involved and spending more time with more of your people and making new friends at the same time? So we try and really extract and also work with our partners too,
Mhm.
uh, to like, their consultant team or whoever it may be to really extract what makes a place special and how do we articulate and amplify that so that it's really communicated across the neighborhood? And of course, there's already measures that are being taken to do that. And for us, a neighborhood game is another layer of helping tell what's special. So Painted Tree has this exhaustive trail network. It's really special. You can feel it when you're there and you're walking. You're like, I feel transported. I feel like I'm in the middle of nature. And they want people to feel that and encourage it and encourage people spending time in this awesome trail network that was created. So our neighborhood game, the Painted Tree Games, all the materials respond to those sensibilities. So it's supernatural. We have this rock garden that weaves its way throughout their trail network that the residents get to help shape. And then the rocks themselves can become game pieces. So you can use it for like concentration, the card flipping game in a certain area. You can use it for bowling or Ligori. So we have a spot where people play volleyball, but then stack some rocks, use them as bowling pins, and we create the rule. We have Moncala that interrupts the sidewalk, so it's a social gathering space and invites people to pause. Rock gammon, otherwise known as backgammon. I've talked smack about my grandma. My 75-year-old neighbor, Chris, is my backgammon sensei. But lately, the student is becoming the teacher. So I'm excited to not only, play him in backgammon here, but get him over at a game in Dallas or McKinney and see what we can do with that. So that's the way that we think about rooted in place.
I think it's really interesting. Everything that we do with our clients and the developers that we work with is really around understanding their vision and their storytelling and being able to relay that to the residents that they have in their community. And you guys have done a really great job of not only taking that storytelling, but also creating that connection with the people within that community to make them feel closer. So I absolutely love what y'all are doing.
Well, I'm excited to integrate into the Alisant app. We were talking about that recently, a little sneak peek behind the scenes, right?
Yeah, with
Uh,
Painted Tree in particular.
with Painted Tree in particular, and thinking about how the app can be enhanced by the game and the game can be enhanced by the app. And it feels like it's just such clear and obvious synergy,
Yeah.
which is really exciting. And again, for us, we think about how to extract and layer in value and how to maximize value for our clients. And there's this kind of missing piece of the pie that people don't necessarily always see. And play can sometimes be, oh, it's frivolous or whatever. And we're here highly specialized in this lane to talk about play and bring it to our communities. And it's so nice that we have, strategic partners like y'all to do that with. And then on the app, you see the game. On the game, April has a
Post your
great idea of like
scores, you can
the
do all
attack.
kinds of fun things. Post photos, play. Danette, as we're talking, I'm thinking about Jubilee, right? Jubilee is the first community that's 100% concede for wellness. You know, everything there is about wellness and infused into the home design and the systems and air quality and water quality. I mean, Haley Peck and June and Nick Deacon have done a phenomenal job, not just having a positioning, the talk part, but really infusing, walking that talk. And I could imagine that, embracing the play side of wellness could be an awesome fit there. I'm going to make sure to make that introduction. They just have a
Love it.
phenomenal project.
The other thing that Jubilee that is doing that's really cool is they're stimulating all of your senses. So they've got an
Mm.
area where you can, I'm probably getting this wrong, but you can use touch and, hearing, and they really make sure to have these wellness zones where they're
Mhm.
stimulating all the different types of your senses. And I can see that going really well with, friendly games and what y'all are doing to have, a different theme for different areas of the community.
It's a great point in that. And I think it offers a lens at the range of what play can look like. And when you think about play holistically, that means definitely sports, and where let's say, was bred into the play world, but creative play, intellectual play, thinking about different sensory inputs when designing for play, and really maximizing the range of potential that the world of play has to offer. So again, similar to the kindness pledge, I'm inspired when I hear of places like Jubilee and thinking about multi-sensory input. And there's a lot of talented designers doing work on engaging all of our senses holistically to create, more holistic spaces that are enhancing our wellness. And we're like, hey, let's throw in some more play on top of it too.
For sure. I'd love for you to share your process in terms of coming into a community that might already be underway, like a Jubilee, or a community that's still in the formation. Maybe the land planners are still finalizing a lot of those components, marketing's conceiving of the concept and the communication strategy. Is it a good fit for you, whether it's brand new or ongoing, or do you have a sweet spot there?
So we can engage both during, design and development, as
Yeah.
well as activate existing communities. We're pretty nimble in how we can integrate and support our clients. It's great working from the design side. So everything is being shaped, and then we can offer our input, and decisions can be less expensive if we have some good ideas that people resonate with.
Right from the
And as
beginning.
we think about basically offering integrating a game layer into the master plan. But at the same time, that's what we're doing at IndiGolf, or at Indigo with IndiGolf. But at the same time, we can activate existing communities like we're doing at Painted Tree,
Mhm.
take priority there, and use our perspective to see where can we unlock more value with what y'all already have going on, and try and be really strategic about doing so. So we're, long story short, nimble in the ways that we can engage with our clients.
Well, and you're working with great people too. Tom Oxland's been on the podcast. Walliver, sorry, with Oxland's been on the podcast. We love CCMC. They do great work managing that community. And then Scott has been on here too with Indigo. So I think you have a real message that will resonate with developers. This whole idea. You mentioned Terry Slavic as well.
San Diego.
She goes, yeah, go San Diego, UCSD alum.
Yes, the April for sure.
Yes. So, but, it's just a real interesting concept. It doesn't sound like it, as opposed to building a $25 million clubhouse, that the infrastructure investment, that it needs to be so foreboding that it isn't something that maybe every developer should be considering.
We're more cost strategic than that.
Yeah. Yeah. And intergenerational. Even for, it's interesting, Danetta, when we were talking about the intergenerational component, I was thinking about all of our active adult communities. And while maybe all the people that physically live there are a little more homogenous. I mean, there isn't a grandparent who doesn't want some reason that they're to give their grandchildren to come to visit. So that's another interesting component.
It was cool, April, for I think both you and I, right? We gave a talk at the ULI Fall Conference to the 55 plus lifestyle residential development product council.
Yep.
Too many words. But when Peter Dennehy first approached me to speak there, I was a little surprised because our work is explicitly intergenerational, but also at the same time kind of geared towards 55 and up, because there's lots of work that is on getting kids to play and far less that's on getting adults to play, and particularly older adults to do so. But I agree with you completely. There is so much opportunity to, and at least invite your grandkids to come by and play with them, or even play with pickleball. Pickleball is a great case study for us because everyone knows it. It exploded in popularity. Why? Because it has a novel and funny name, has a low barrier entry to get good or to get adequate, and there is opportunity for skill development. And the scale is really social, right? 44 by 20 feet, and mostly you're in the kitchen that's 15 feet away from everyone, and 4 people play. So there's such an appetite for social games being adopted. And people think of pickleball as being great for older people. I know plenty of orthopedics that would disagree. And I like pickleball a lot, but trying to design more opportunities for play, and particularly social play, for just within a siloed 55 up crowd, that could also be fun to bring in your grandkids on Sunday mornings.
We've had this kind of ongoing concept on a few different podcasts recently where a lot of our guests talk about how you want to build flexible spaces. So these third spaces that can be used for more than, if you think about a welcome center has a coffee shop inside of it, so that you're not just going into a sales center, but you've got a reason to be there, and really utilizing all of these different places within the community. And you may have an idea of what might activate a space when you first create a community, but you don't know until you get the residents and the people actually into the community.
Yeah.
And this seems to be just a perfect example of how you can flexibly create these third spaces that maybe they started out one way, but they've evolved into something, 10, 15 years down the road.
We try and design games that you don't grow out of. Playgrounds, kids grow out of, right? You age out of a playground. We think of play as both providing rules for people to get after it, so that there's structure and ways to get started, yet it's also open-ended and has room to grow so that the game continues to be fun down the line. And I think that's one of the special things about games is you don't age out of games. You age out of the playground, rarely by code, right? Playgrounds are designed for up to 12 years old, but games are designed for everybody. So when
Great
thinking
distinction.
and thinking about flexible third spaces, that's what the cool kids are talking and focusing about these days. And we need these spaces for social health, right? I know there's more of an appetite for diverse lot segmentation and thinking about walkability, but walkability in traditional residential development, need places to walk to.
Yeah.
And for us, thinking of the library of third spaces options, and why can't there be more playful ones? And that can be integrated with a coffee shop. It could be in the grassy area outside of a coffee shop, in a muse, paseo, via, promenade, lots of fun ways of saying long grassy areas, and programming them so there's more opportunities for people to talk to each other. And I really just want to emphasize that we have the opportunity to design for more neighborliness. More people are looking at front porches at homes now, right? The decisions that we make in the design process, I think Terry says that like 80% of our health outcomes are like built environment dependent. The decisions that we make in our design processes are a form of social like engineering or ways of how we want to encourage people to behave. So if we can sprinkle in more play and play that's specifically socially oriented, we're going to unlock so much more opportunities for more neighborliness. And I think things that a lot of us are really longing and craving for.
That's great.
Is this measurable, Ryan? In terms of like, what is the impact over time?
Yoshi and I are really keen on developing a friendliness metric. We're still navigating how to best quantify it. We'll probably need people like Terry or someone's help that conduct studies and whatnot to do so. But anecdotally, it's clear to us. So when we see our designs in action, there's a clear, especially the best kind of proof of concept for us early on was we were creating these mobile activations. So we saw what an area was like without our intervention and with our intervention. And it was night and day difference in how the social engagement of the site. Because often the kind of A versus B was A, it's a grassy area or parking lot or something where there's not much going on. And it makes sense. So people don't really spend time there. And if they do, maybe someone's on a bench by themselves scrolling on their phone, not improving their mental health and or
Yeah.
physical health or social health. And then we would bring our designs in and the spaces would be activated. And it makes sense. There's now activity to do. And then the more that we created rules to complement the spaces and rules that specifically targeted an intergenerational audience, then we were seeing, well, we're getting grandmas coming in. I have a photo of these two young whippersnappers that are on one of our friendly designs at UCSD that I share with everyone. And there's also kids in the background. There's a dad. And we saw, like, look, now we have all ages playing together and talking to each other because the cornhole that we had there, instead of a 1 foot or 2 foot by 4 foot board with a 6-inch diameter hole, we added an extra hole and made it a circle. And now people are having funny conversations about what does that second hole mean? Is it worth 2 points? Is it worth 0 points? Is it negative 100 points? Is it 10 push-ups? Is it, hey, you owe me lunch? Is it you have to go say, whatever it was, people got
Yeah.
really creative. All we did was add another circle to a cornhole board, put it in a spatial environment, and activate an otherwise unprogrammed area. And all of a sudden, in a very quick amount of time,
Organically.
there was life and social energy that was there. So our decisions at the design level really shape how a place is meant to be used. Sure, some people, shout out to the teenagers, might try and actively not use the way a space is designed. But for the most part, the way that a space is designed is the way that it gets used. So that's why we feel so excited about bird spaces and more play so that more people can talk to each other.
Before I turn it over to Danette to ask our closing questions, this last point I think is so relevant, particularly in the new home sales process. I hear at conferences and talking to developers, they create these amazing spaces, but when you have a home shopper there and those spaces aren't active, it really takes the potential energy around what the amenity, what the space is designed for, way down. It can almost look sad. And this idea of having this organic activity, available to be activated at any time by residents and friends and people in the broader community, I think is a really powerful idea to demonstrate the vibrancy and the momentum in a community for that new home shopper. So, all right, developers, this one's for you.
Well, Ryan, this is where we switch over to ask you a few questions about yourself. And I think I know some of the answers to these, but our audience does not. So the first one is, what inspires you?
I am a very curious person that's easily inspired and inspired by a lot. So first off, I play so much of my community. I feel so lucky. I've got a big basketball game tonight. I already stretched my calves out this morning trying to feel good. I've got a padel match tomorrow. I'm playing backgammon with my neighbor Chris the following day. So just playing with my friends and my family helps a lot. I teach sports to some 7-year-olds twice a week. That is also very inspiring. I see what the hip kids are doing, and I learn about things like 6'7". Oh, that's actually 2 of them are 7 years old, and 2 of them are 14-year-olds. We just essentially play games and work out, and I get to teach tennis and basketball and mess around and be silly. So I think that is super stimulating and kind of at a direct experience level, inspiring me to both work on the games that we design, motivate me with new ideas, and keep me grounded and in touch with how people are interacting with each other. On top of that, I am a nerd, and I love just learning about random stuff. Big fan about audiobooks recently. Listened to a great book about the discovery of Polynesia and how people 1,500 years ago or 1,000 years ago started to navigate these various islands. Great book about the Mongolians and Genghis Khan and the Mongolian Empire. Uh, so I like to read and listen to random stuff. And I think the third thing and most important thing is just be super friendly and talk to people and learn from them. I've learned so many interesting things from just whimsical and serendipitous conversations I've been fortunate enough to have. We're just being curious and friendly from talking to people. And I am continuously inspired, but particularly by how many people are kind of rethinking our relationship with technology and not outright rejecting it, but recognizing the need for community, the need for more social gathering, the need for more mixed use places, because we're better together. And it inspires me to see how many people are really rallying behind that and interested in more or less our terms, but building a friendlier world.
Yeah, it's amazing. There was a shift from online communities, and the world is connected through digital. And, I see it with my own children and how it's shifting to connecting real people in real spaces. And
Yeah.
In
I
real
think
life.
that's going to be in real life. Yes. And I think that's really going to be a bigger concept in the next 10 to 15 years moving forward is how do you get people involved in real life, in person, to where they can actually have real connections.
I
Um,
want to say, by the way, I think my favorite thing about Alisant is it's a wonderful example of how technology can help us spend more time with more people in real life. Like to me, we don't need to become like Luddites, right? But that's like an awesome example of like, hey, we're using really impressive technology to hang out with each other in simple and fun ways.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, you seem to be a natural student of human behavior, and I love that you're studying Mongolia and these different, civilizations, as well as really diving into our civilization and how you can, make behaviors different. I'm really curious to know, and this is our last question, what advice would you give to your 25-year-old self, knowing, where you were then and where you are now?
I would tell my 25-year-old self, one, you might be surprised by how much you can accomplish. So just go do stuff and take it day by day and step by step. And two, when you're really passionate about a topic and you might be kind of good at it, like we're playing, pursue it and just keep going and going. Um, and you might be surprised of where it can take you. So I would tell my 25-year-old self, just get after it. Have some fun.
Well, Ryan, it's been a real pleasure for myself and Danette to share this time with you, learn more about what you're doing and how you're bringing value to the people that live and work in the communities that we're all serving. So thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it and hope our paths cross real soon.
I hope to go fly fishing in Montana sooner than later.
Let's
Thank you
do
so
it.
much for hosting me this morning. I really appreciate it.